All right, so we're gonna move really quickly because I don't have time. I got a samurai movie to motorcycle to. Hi, first of all, if you didn't know, it's your boy, EXP66. You're having a good time. We like to watch movies, but originally, growing up liking movies comes from a very early spot, yes? Most people would say Disney. Disney was the thing that kind of introduced kids or young ones to learning family values or learning important life lessons that would help propel them to be better people. We lost the Princess War. There are no princesses left anymore. The pillows ran out or something. But regardless, something that the Eastern side has been doing, especially on the animation, is a little film project called Neza 2. And Neza 2 is a sort of folk lore of Chinese spiritual guidance, and you know where I come from on those moments. The idea that certain people in historical moments had something to do that carried their legacy throughout time. And throughout time, people like to exaggerate stories. So eventually, you get the soul of a fire spirit and a clean, holy pearl spirit, whatever that means. But regardless, Neza 2 is an interesting point to start. Yes, you hear 2 and you go like, well, what did I miss in the first one? Trust me, I was curious too. But fortunately, this film does a interesting job of nerfing the main character, which is something very video game-esque, but still kind of interesting to see on the see it represented in motion animation, right? And just the idea that like you became the super cool person in the first film, but then something happened, so now you got to be nerfed back to this one person. And that's where the story begins, right? We got our two main leads, like we'll call them Aquaman and Lava Boy, but it's the story of these two gentlemen, these two younger adolescents, let's call them, in, wouldn't you know it, a big world war, world containing to their homeland, China, but still a war that seems to have no ending. And that's where I start seeing things, right? I start seeing the parallels. I start trying to connect the dots when it comes to what is it that made these people really hold on to this legend. What do you mean, you people? I mean the Chinese people, man. Hold on to their legends and kind of like get that and uphold it to this point to be like, oh, listen, this happened. And we need you to know that this happened because there is a lesson at the end of this. Storytelling. It's how we teach our young ones, man. Don't knock it. Cat in the Hat, that shit's goated. But it's about what messages we give to the kids, to the members, to the cultural aspect of the people that are there, feeling, reflecting, relating to these moments. And if I can be frank, hey, coming off of war movie to war movie to war movie to jump into another war movie, but directed at children, yes, it starts bringing PTSD. You know what I mean? I start realizing like, okay, well, if these people were so abused, then naturally they'd want to go abuse other people, because the hate that you give then becomes into China versus Japan, then becomes into Japan coming back and invading China, and then it's all a vicious cycle. War, what is it good for? And that is the question we're asking here. Because originally the main story is, hey, we need to save the homie. So we're gonna go past this test so we can get the rights to get the the MacGuffin that we need, that word will come back later, the MacGuffin we need to save the homie. And that is the beginning of our story. But what if I told you? What if I told you that throughout all this action, throughout this super cool animation, this fluidity of style and design, right? What if I told you they pulled a good old switcheroo? I'm fairly savvy when it comes to storytelling. I come to believe that I can piece things together at a more advanced rate than more individuals, and I respect that. I appreciate that. Thank you. But when they, even though I saw it coming, right? Even though I felt like, wait a minute, still, the way they pull out certain moments and how they sort of build the universe upon certain people having certain things to say / do / protect. All right, you got me. China, you got me. Not bad. So yeah, man, they bust a really cool switcheroo, and it was cool. I don't know how else to say it. Just the idea that you're left thinking that, oh, this is gonna be our final goal. Like this is what we were born for. And then they just pull the rug from underneath you, and you're like, wait a minute. Whoa. It's cool, man. I'm not gonna hype it up. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I definitely would say that if you have not an affliction, an interest in folklore, in these stories, in these kind of moments, then you should definitely give it a shot, right? This is an animated film, and it has beautiful art, and it's very inspired by its culture. So that right there, for me at least, is enough reason to give it consideration. And hey, I hope that with how things are moving and how now A24 is distributing certain titles, then you are clearly seeing an interest in cultures outside of America. And when you're dealing with Disney and what they have done to this medium, and specifically what they have presented to the younger audience, this is a very much needed, unique presentation. And yeah, man, it's action-packed. You know how I feel about choreography and how that works, and it's very cool to see again just where these inspirations come from in terms of the style, the culture, the arts, the martial arts, and what trying to accept and realize what the culture has been and how one can meet them in the middle. So very cool stuff. I highly recommend it. Certain moments are actually very inspiring and thought-provoking, and you know, if you shed a tear because things happen, and I swear to God, if that happened to any man that really fucking knew how to love, then you'd probably shed a tear too. So, just saying. Pretty damn cool. I really enjoyed my time with this. And I was the only one in that auditorium, which is pretty damn cool sometimes, you know. It was a very, very late showing, so I understand that. The targeted audience, has probably already seen this. There was a Chinese version that came straight from China, and now there's an English dub version covered by G-Kids, distributed by G-Kids, and produced by A24 Pictures. So there is a lot of synergy happening. You know, we've talked about how Japanese manga and storytelling has been influencing the West, but now we're gonna see another flow of information and inspiration in the Chinese. And yeah, man, again, that doesn't mean it's a terrible thing, right? We can do something. We can do something different. We can do something creative. We can have different ideas, different thoughts, different visions. And at the end of the day, when we put it all together, it works if we're actually trying. If we're caring about the product, not just the product, but like the creation, art for art's sake. And as long as things are good and we don't start selling out or getting overly fucking ambitious and greedy with like, oh, more properties, let's buy this shit up, then yes, I do see a interesting new wave of information slash culture slash creativity, and for art and for art's sake, that is always a good thing. So highly recommend it. If you're a Jackie Chan fan, there's a Jackie Chan movie out there. You can go back-to-back Kung Fu Day, and that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's just one of those films that, especially if you're like a younger male, obviously females might have something interesting in this. There is a what is it called? There's that a Bishon character, or what is it? Shonen character, whatever. And if you are a young adult male, then I really, really strongly believe that you can find a good relation to the characters and possibly create yourself a strong role model through their example. And while that might be interesting or funny to say, again, children are information sponges. They are impressionable AF. If you give them the right tools, if you give them the right inspiration, and you feed them hope, then I strongly believe any man can get the job done. So, let me know what you think about that guy. Some pretty damn cool flips, some pretty really nice animation and styles. Obviously you're seeing stuff happening in the background, and yeah, it's pretty interesting again to see the differences but also the similarities and where we meet in the middle and what that might mean for the future coming up. But what if I told you the future wasn't far away? Yeah, boy, it's happening. That's not it. Because Freakier Friday, yes, we're doing this, was a moment in time. Listen, I grew up in a household with an older brother, an older sister, and a younger sister. 4 of us all day. So we had to be fair, right? The dudes had their Dragon Ball weekend, and then the females had their Cheetah Girls slash Princess Diaries slash Freaky Friday. Yes, I grew up on these things. I can't say I probably did pay attention. Somewhere deep down in there's like some psychological shit that was affected. But Freakier Friday, right? And that era of Disney and kind of what they were doing with their pop stars, even though Lindsay Lohan did Lindsay Lohan. But we see the aftermath, right? That's one of the most interesting parts about this, that it has been 10, 15 years since the original film. And we flash forward to the lives of these people. And normally you look at a sequel, like a reunion sequel casting, and you sort of grow and you go like, we're doing this again, or like, we're just here for the money, or like, you know, like who asked for this? Who asked for this? I didn't. Let me tell you, it's pretty damn good. At least for me, right? I tend to really like lighten up when it comes to comedies. When it comes to stuff like this, I reflect on the fun times my siblings and I have had. So it's just a nice vibe. Nostalgia, some would call it. But nostalgia only gets you so far. and we need the next generation. And that is not a sex joke, because we have two new leads, two young ladies taking up the mantle of the next generation, being like, yeah, I don't like that guy either, and trying to destroy their father's wedding, at least one of their father's wedding. It gets complicated. If you remember, the original Freaky Friday was about how the mother, what's her face, homegirl, the girl from Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. Very nice. She is getting remarried to this one guy, and Lindsay Lohan, who was like this free-spirited rocker girl, is like, "Nah, mom, you suck. You can't just change my life like this, right?" So, at least that's what I remember. I also remember the guy with the motorcycle. Permanent emotional or psychological changes. But it was a fun film that came with a story that kind of had this ultimate understanding of mother and daughter, and how those lives don't necessarily line up, but through the bonds and through the heart and through the spirit of motherhood, aka feminism, yes, real feminism, aka love, and how that is a power that really binds the family together, right? So now it's the young lady's turn. The young lady's turns to be adolescents, to be hormoned out, and to be like, you know what, we don't want this. I don't want to move. I don't want to have this obnoxious girl be my half sister. I don't want this life for myself. So in turn, we have the good old switcheroo, which is, yes, an interesting piece of like culture, right? Let's just call it that. I know some people are getting salty about it. I know. For my part, it is a Californian thing, that there is so much culture in California that you cannot you cannot bat an eye when someone is inspired to act a certain way. So, what did it do? I'll start off with this one. The main male lead is a chef. Very nice. Very nice. The main male lead has heart. The main male lead is not being, yes, there are moments where like, oh, come on, dad, or blah, 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 blah. That's normal. Trust me. That is normal as fuck. And we accept that. We take a lot of shit and we accept it. We understand it. It keeps the peace. And some might call that like, oh, you're being weak. But there's a difference between being weak and being loving. So, so yes, I will give credit where credit is due, as always with Disney now losing the 50% of sales due to them literally bashing on the male audience. This film did something well. And maybe that's why they're actually going like, oh, we need the writers to write for males and blah, blah, blah. Because this one actually did something fair, right? I don't need the male to be the main hero. I just need him to be competent and have a heart. And that is where the story lies, man. This man has fallen in love with Lindsay Lohan, and they want to get married together. However, young Lindsay Lohan is like, nuh-uh, I am not gonna move to Britain or whatever, London. And young daughter of said man is like, yo, I do not want to live with these people. They're so weird. Their culture is different. I do not want it. And then hijinks begin. Good old switcheroos, right? We get the nice moment of them waking up and being like, oh, this moment, waking up and be like, I'm old, which is apparently an issue for women, but it's there. It is there. There is heart, and them bringing in the next generation does bring a layer of culture, right? You might think culture is just Britain, America, California, China, but culture in its truest sense is the timeline that we are in, meaning that the next generation will have different improved, right? It was similar to ours because we come from the same spice, but with different information being fed to the younger audience. So, what do we get? We get a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun. Like I remember the original being pretty cool. It had a girl that played guitar, and I was like, yo, that's a band. That's pretty damn cool. And it brought like this fun little, maybe angsty teenager vibe. Maybe that's probably it. Probably the Nirvana during the time. But this does bring something fun, entertaining, relatable from multiple angles, and at the end of the day, it's pretty sweet, right? Finding love and making that work in terms of like combining universes is always gonna be difficult. There is no perfect relationship, and there is no easy relationship. Relationships are created and forged through the pains and the hardships, and the ability to overcome those is what forms an actual relationship, not just superficial stuff. And that was nice, you know. We reflect on family, what that means, and what it means to be open to people and to accept others for who they are, not necessarily what they bring to the table. And that was nice. Again, I appreciate that they did a really solid job with the male in this lead. Both the original married old man that marries this chick has a really cool, solid wisdom moment, and the father getting married has his moments where yes, he is frustrated. We have testosterone, we get frustrated, but being able to tame that as a father is the ultimate step. And that was good to see, you know. I highly believe that a balance is what brings us closer. And being able to represent both genders and being able to give both genders room to breathe / express themselves, both in the good and the bad, allows for characters to actually grow and have meaning behind them. So if you thought this was, you know, like a simple cash grab, or it was like, you know, they're probably just doing this and it's gonna be crap and all that stuff, maybe I'm just overhyping things because I just really enjoy families, or maybe I'm just excited that my sister's things is like still good. So maybe all of that, but regardless, I think it is a nice time and it deserves to have a little bit of attention, right? If it's being bombarded by Fantastic Four weapons and K-pop demon stars, then allow me to be the first to say Freakier Friday is a fun time. And if you love family, I can see you relating to these moments. So please, if you like a good culinary stuff, if you ever been to the Line Hotel in Los Angeles, it's there. I saw it and I was freaked out because my homies and I have stayed at that hotel multiple times for Anime Expo. Very cool. So yeah, definitely enjoy that. Go have fun with that. And as we move to our final shtick, because I am out of time. Woo-hoo! I am out of time because the bad guys are back, baby. Yeah! DreamWorks Animation. DreamWorks Animation is doing such a bomb-ass job of bringing style to the table, right? Disney really said, oh, we don't got it, fam. We don't got it anymore. And DreamWorks Animation said, come right here. Come here. Come here. We got shit to talk about. It was so fucking good, man. Originally, the first one, again, is like this idea of robbers, a gang of, what do you call them? Gentleman thief, or like Lupin the Third. This is essentially Lupin the Third, but with anthropomorphic characters, badass wolf, and heart. Heart. Not that Lupin the Third doesn't have a heart, but he has a big heart. But this really, sequels happen. Sequels happen, and unfortunately, we're in the zone where a sequel gets announced, and we go like, ugh, like I don't know about this, man. But thankfully, thank God, there's still some damn good storyboarding and animators out there in the universe who get out there and go, no, we're gonna bring something cool. We're gonna do some cool shit with this. And cool indeed they do. Dude, I was in a room filled with kids and their parents. And I swear, the parents were laughing harder than the kids in certain moments. That might have been my fault, because I was in between, I was like, ah. But the comedy is good, man. It's so good. And just what they bring to the table, what each character has to do, each character kind of has their moment to shine. No one character is too OP or too like hoisted, save for the leader, obviously. I think he was played by George Clooney in the first one. They might have switched out his voice actor, but either way, he still brings a smooth, suave presence to the team, and you want that in leadership. And yeah, fortunately, these poor guys have been trying their best to flip the table and not be bad guys anymore. We're just trying to be nice people. We just want to be with the crowd, We just want to be accepted with society. But it's hard. It's hard to break habits. And it's definitely hard to say no when you're being threatened or somebody that you care about is being threatened. So, what happens? You fight against the current, or you play the long game? Because baby, we got a plan. And yeah, you see this interesting quick. Yeah, this movie moves so fast. Like it just, you go from one point to the next, but it does it so well. It's not disorienting. It makes sense. If you've seen the first bad guys, then you can pinpoint certain things. But if you haven't seen the first bad guys, then that's okay. It's a completely different vibe, or it's a completely different goal and origin. And these characters are in a point where they're in the middle of changing. So you will not necessarily miss out if you haven't seen the first one. So definitely one of those interesting moments. Again, I cannot talk about the animation enough. It is very inspired. There are certain moments where you see straight up anime inspiration, and then you see like artistic inspiration, and then you see the creation of the universe artistic expression, and you're like, okay, DreamWorks, I see what you're doing. I see you. Yes, DreamWorks, we see the drip. Thank you. Thank you for putting in the work and the effort. And yes, I can't say enough about this. It is funny. It is cute. There is romance that is both eye-opening and like hopeful, I guess, like adorable. And the characters that are introduced, the newer characters are introduced, bring something to the table, a new element, a new vibe, and it works well with the regular cast. So where we go from here and what we're building towards, because yes, is something that I'm now currently invested in. If the first one was like this cute story that reminded me of Lupin the Third, the second one is Lupin and the team like becoming solidarity, and the third, I can only imagine, is gonna be the big bombastic adventure. And real talk, I am looking forward to that. Yeah, I really am. So, 3 films. Neza 2, Freakier Friday, The Bad Guys 2. Sequels, if you will. All of them, sequels, yeah. But sequels that don't sell out. Because that's what we need in Hollywood. So thank you. Thank you, animators. Thank you, writers. Thank you, creative minds who, although they took inspiration from something, a starting point, they didn't let that define them. They let it be their thing, and they went with it because they believed in the art. And I believe in it too. So, if you haven't had time to check them out, I know I'm a little behind on these, but thank God that I was able to piece it all together. That it's like a easy like kid level adoption rate. So if you have little ones out there, if you are down to like maybe turn that noggin down a couple of notches and just enjoy the vibe, then yes, definitely, I would recommend any one of these movies. And just say honestly, if you like thievery, you can get some cool stuff right there. Some Mission Impossible action. If you like some kung fu action, then you got some sick skills and moves waiting for you in Neza. And if you love family, or if you just really want to see Lindsay Lohan one last time, I can't remember the other girl's name. She's like, it's fine. Then definitely go check it out. But thank you for checking us out, and thank you for hitting that like, subscribing, and sticking around. Because we'll be back with more. Today, we're watching The Lone Wolf and Cub, which I'm very excited about. And then I'm gonna try my best to shove in Black Swan, a movie that I've never seen before, but I'm very, very curious and I want to see in IMAX that is today. So I will do my best, which means that I have to get going now. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy, EXP, 626 Stitch, wishing you a happy weekend, an awesome moment, and family time. Good family time. But until then, I love you too. Ciao. Matane.